Hello, everyone. This is Akata Vesta. Thank you for coming back to the Rose of Venus. Today, I have an old friend, Crispy Matthews. And we have already one podcast out months ago. And let me present him first, and then I will present him a little bit more in details. Crispy, thank you for joining me.
Hello! It is so great to connect with you again.
Yeah. Okay. Just to give you a little bit background of Crispy, he is Canadian born, and he is one of those few people, few men that I know that change country for his wife, with his wife. And
That's right. She
yeah,
came to Canada in 2001 and we met and fell in love the first day. It was definitely a soulmate connection, and I moved to Japan with her about 22 years ago.
and you just have your anniversary a few days ago.
We had our 20-year wedding anniversary on the 21st of March. Yeah. So sometimes it's spring equinox and the equinox moves a few days here and there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think this year was the 19th or 20th, but we wanted to get married on the equinox. And that was 20 years ago. So yes, thank you for liking that on my Facebook page.
Well, the photos with kimonos. Oh,
Yes,
I love them.
I know. That's why I put them up.
Well, when I got married, I also dressed in a Chinese traditional dress.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
And we married in a tiny little church on a Tuscany hill.
Oh, beautiful. Now, what color was your dress? I will call it a kimono because that's my framework for it.
Well,
What color?
it's a Chinese 长衫 that is fair. It's like okay, it's not the traditional, but it's the one that has been wearing since the 20th century. Though
Okay,
when you watch the old Hong Kong movie and you see all
right,
this woman, tiny woman in that dress, it's so following the body, and
right.
it was in peach color, and
Okay.
we have that two split on the side, right? And I went
Oh,
back to Hong
okay.
Kong on purpose
Right.
to have it done.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and it was fantastic. And the tailor was saying, "Whoa, you are so young. Why you do your split so low?"
Okay.
So
Right.
I was with this dress in the
Yeah.
church with my
Right.
split on the side that I tried to cover, try to be decent.
Oh my. Yeah, the
Uh,
Japanese kimono is very it covers the body. You can't see the body. It's
no.
very modest.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so this
Right.
is a tiny blanket. And well, what else? That Crispy is we can say we are colleague in a sense that we are both astrologer. I do galactic, and he does the Mayan calendar.
Indeed. And that's how we met. We exchanged readings and got to know each other through that, I would say, celestial perspective.
Yes.
I do believe the Mayan calendar came from the Pleiades. I teach that to my clients.
Mm.
There's lots of evidence for that in the Mayan history, and I believe it's true.
From our galactic perspectives, the Pleiadians not only has influence in our human history, I think most of us starts it, we have the Pleiadians DNA. That's
Right.
just in us. And
So, yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, when we are lucky, we get to
Syrians,
connect.
Lyrans, the how many star systems DNA do we have in us? It's quite amazing.
From what I have learned, that at the beginning that we have taken our DNA mixed from the Pleiadians, the
Yes.
Syrians,
Right.
the Orions, and
Yes.
also from our future self, from the Zeta.
Reticuli, I believe they're called, the Zeta
Yes.
reticuli. Yes,
Those
yes, yes.
tiny gray ETs.
Right.
So,
I also like the Essassani connection there, which is sort of a bridge between the now human DNA and the grays. I believe the Essassani is somewhere in between in our future.
yes. Yeah. So,
That's what Daryl Anka and Bashar represent.
mm,
That
mm,
I
mm.
really resonate with his information.
Yeah, I do too. I I am in a stage that I hardly listen to anyone,
Sure.
that I have packed so much in the first 2 or 3 years. Now I have overload.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it can be overwhelming. It can
Yeah.
just be TMI, too much information.
Yeah.
So we have to be
Yeah.
selective.
Yeah. And anyway, so today, actually, we are in touch again. Most mainly from one of my previous video that I talk about. What did I call it? What make a woman spiritual, right?
Hey, yes.
And yeah, and in that video, I was talking exactly about the polarities, the divisions between sexes, and there is somehow a new age spirituality out there that in order wanting to bring back the divine feminine energy, somehow I agree with the purpose of it, but I don't
Right.
agree with the means of it.
Right.
Okay,
I
like
think we're on the same page there. So can you explain that a little more?
I would say that in our human known history,
Right. Sure.
where the female has been downgraded to little more than a slave. Doesn't matter of
Right.
social status. You can be a noble, you can be queen, and you can be princess. And
Right.
just by looking at the mythology of the Greek mythologies, hardly
Yes.
any woman has been that has the same status as Zeus
It's true.
or with any others. And even Zeus' wife is she Juno? Well, as a wife,
Um, I know the Greek name Athena. I forget
no,
the
Heres.
Roman.
Heres. In the Greek name is
Okay.
Heres.
Okay.
Athena is the daughter of Zeus.
Okay.
They are all
I
interrelated.
Yeah.
All in a big
Right.
family at the end of the day. Anyway.
Okay.
And
Right,
Zeus
right, right.
is actually in our astrology is Jupiter.
Okay.
Okay?
Interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Mm. And
Fascinating.
yes, and because from the Greek, we have, for instance, Heres is the Latin name, and then
Okay,
we
right.
change it to English. Then we have Juno, right?
Okay.
That is still Greek. And then come the Roman.
Right.
They change everything. Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I go back. Juno is the Roman name.
Okay, yes, right.
Meanwhile, Hera is the Greek name. And Zeus
Right.
is the Greek name. Come the
Also.
Roman, change it to Jupiter.
Okay.
So there is all that connections. I just only started to understand who is who, what is what.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right. I was confused by it all along. You know, I never, as a teenager and an early 20s person, I just couldn't wrap my head around the standard zodiac astrology system. It never resonated with me. And then when I was 28, I believe, maybe 26, I'd have to, let's see, it was 1998. So I was 28. I learned about the Mayan system and it just connected. I got it instantly and basically fell in love with it. You know, and so even now I don't really understand the 12 house astrology.
Doesn't matter. Every toast
Yay!
out there works. Okay. For instance, now that
Yes.
I am a galactic astrologer, right? But when I started, what ignited me is not even astrology. It was the
Okay.
IT.
Right.
Well,
64 codes.
yes, 64 codes, and every hexagon we have six
Yep.
how do you call it?
I forget what they're called actually, but there's the straight line and the
Yeah.
dotted line. What
Yeah.
are they?
We have the
know.
6th line, right? And so
Yes.
and the combination is the system is totally different from the Western astrology. And I mean,
Absolutely.
should I just give up one thing and the others? I think at the end we learn what we learn, and
Right.
we are learning what we have already known.
Sure. Remembering. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So just wrap up this astrology topic, and so the feminine, the female,
Right.
woman has always been put down into a second level of citizens, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And we see it even in Bible, in church. Mary, the Mother Mary, is so venerated, but she has to be a virgin.
Oh yeah. Untouched by man.
Yeah. So even that is just a contortion of a woman, right?
There's quite a few contortions in the Bible about women, femininity.
Yeah.
Oh my.
We don't even go into Mary Magdalene. So
Oh my.
okay.
Poor Mary. Oh dear.
Yeah. And so, and now that the consciousness is changing, and I think women on our side, we have done so much self-healing, the healing that we are doing on ourselves that reflect back to our ancestors, our past life, and as a consequences to our future generation, right?
Yes.
While we are doing our healing, at some point, I think, unfortunately, that we heal by going against.
Right.
In that sense, would be like, we bring up the woman statues, like Mother Sophia, like Mary, like Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
And like
Kuan Yin.
Right?
Kuan Yin.
And Guan Yin. That. Just love her. And so by bringing up the woman statute, somehow reflect on by putting down the other sexes. In this case, men.
Right. Sure.
And but at the end of the day, it's still a game of polarity.
Right. Well, that's been, I think, to go back to the Bible, which I do believe is one of the largest social imprints affecting all of humanity now.
Mm.
Um, I think their mythology of the Garden of Eden was their most divisitory, dividing male and female, starting with blame, and then shame, right? So all of the men blame the woman for the story in the Bible, and the women are supposed to feel shame or guilt, right? And it just divides male and female. And in that, they gained their power over anyone who believes in that story. And, we look around the world now, and politics and government and business and, corporations, so many of them are Christians. It's unbelievable. And they all believe that story to some degree. We don't know what percent they completely believe in the Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden story, but they do believe it to some degree. They've all been what I call brainwashed by that myth. And then, like we mentioned, Mary, she was said by the Pope, and I believe it was the year 400. I'm not quite sure, but about 1500 or 1600 years ago, they said she was a prostitute. And only about 50 years ago, they said, actually, no, she wasn't. So it's just unbelievable.
But they still keep pushing the same agenda. Well,
Oh,
they
definitely.
admitted that it's all made up,
Right.
but then they still keep doing it.
Well, it's so ingrained in our culture, advertising. Like you just look at any example of advertising and you see this overly sexualized image of women and then overly masculine men. It's a parody. It's a joke. And one of the things that I pointed out to you, and I tell all my clients and anyone else who will listen, is that in the Mayan calendar, it shows exactly who everyone's divine feminine and divine masculine qualities, powers, I call them guides, who they are. So every human being has divine masculine and divine feminine qualities. And the Maya believe that the creator of the universe is both what we would say male and female. It's light and dark. It's going out and doing, and it's also being and welcoming, so it's both, and we all are, and there's no other way we could possibly exist. So it's a complete step away from certainly, Christianity and Catholicism and Judaism and Muslim Islam. It's a complete step away from that. And then also a complete step away from, advertising and news media and all of that. So it's a lovely way to see from above, I feel.
Yes.
Now, I don't know this for sure, but are there other astrology systems or any other system that says people are both divine feminine and divine masculine? Do you know that?
Well, I think at the end, when we have to say it,
Right.
it is already a way of saying that we divide.
Sure.
And okay, I use the modern astrology as an example. If we
Sure.
look at our normal planet,
Right.
it has always been dominant by female as no, male essence planet. We have Pluto is a man. We have Saturn is a man. We have Mars is a man. All of them are men except two in our main astrology, which is Venus and the moon.
Venus and the moon.
And the moon, okay. So that is the normal practice when we look at charts and in the Western astrology.
Right.
One thing is changing, though, that I am deeply, deeply studying myself is in recent history that we incorporate a lot of asteroid.
Oh, interesting.
And the asteroid are mainly represented by female energies.
Okay, I did not know that.
For instance, I am one that is in love with Lilith. Lilith is black moon Lilith, the dark side of the moon, right? And the moon that we use is the white side, the moon Selena.
Okay.
That is one of them. And in exoteric sense, Lilith is even before God created Adam and Eve, there was Adam and Lilith.
Yes, I have read about that recently.
Yeah, okay, so.
And she rejected his attempts at ownership, is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Yay, I love her too.
And...
so exciting.
You are the second one that come out with that.
Yay.
And
I'm gonna hold off doing it again for a little while.
Yeah, and she represents so much of that energy of regardless the fear, the shadow, the oppression, she stands her ground.
Right.
So that is just one example. And then in my reading, I always look at, for instance, Aries, spelled as Eris, who is the sister of Mars, and has been always portrayed as the negative figures because she is a woman, a she-woman warrior. No, doesn't fit. And one example, we might not know her name, but we know her story. The story of her flowing an apple during a banquet held by the king of Troy. And she wasn't invited. She, as a warrior, she said, I came. The fact that I care you invite me or not, she came, and then she threw out this apple to the fairest of us all.
Ooh, wow. That sounds like...
ring the bell, right?
Walt Disney and...
Yeah. And then what do we have? We have Aphrodite, which is Venus. We have Athena, Pallas Athena. And we have, what are the third one? Juno, I think. Yep. They were competing to be the fairest. We came the Troy War.
Right.
Okay, so another aspect of woman being fierce.
Sure.
And okay, I don't want to make it into astrology things, but anyway, but a lot of asteroid that now is represented by the female energies. That can really dig into our psyche, our emotional side, that explains so much of who we are today.
Right.
And the wounds that we have gone through. And that apply for both men and women chart.
Agreed.
And so I would say, like, if in modern astrology, that would be like the reclaiming of the female aspect that before was almost ignored.
Right. Cut off or downplayed. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I have to talk about I Ching, we don't even, because of the Chinese language, we don't even divide she and he. It's the same word,
Okay. No gender.
no gender. And so
Excellent. Wow, I did not know that.
we pronounce the same way as she and
Right.
he.
Right.
And if we have to say a friend is a friend. We don't say
Right.
she friend or he friend,
Right.
right? You don't know from the word friend to say what? And it's just part of our cultures.
Indeed.
But then again, that was the ancient cultures that we
Sure.
don't divide. The language was developed without gender.
That's wonderful. I also feel that our soul, our essence, our higher self does not have gender.
No.
I feel that we come into a body, um, a gendered body here, there is the polarity or the duality on Earth. And then there's the blends of genders. Excuse me. And I believe that we choose our gender, we choose our birthday, we choose our parents, specifically to learn certain things this time around. Maybe last time I was a woman or maybe a man. But I think over maybe 100 lifetimes, for example, it's probably about even, half of them male, half of them female. Not quite sure, of course. But I do very, very strongly believe the soul has no gender.
No. Yeah, exactly. Just like we like angels.
Exactly.
We talk about archangels.
Although the Christian religion has divided angels into men and women angels too.
Yeah,
They don't say there's
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no gender, which
So
I think might be might be wrong. Although, we hear a lot about Archangel Michael, for example, and that sounds rather more male, doesn't it? Yeah. So
well,
brainwashing. They wanted to say that some angels are male, and they don't even talk about the female angels. It's just like, oh, there's a couple, but that's my impression because I haven't studied it.
mm,
But I tend to believe angels have no gender.
yeah, yeah. And still bring back to this topic of feminine and masculine.
Right.
And I think you are one of those, and I really truly believe it, that have embodied both aspects in such a perfect way.
Well, thank you very much. I am, I'm working on it. Now I'm 55 and I'm more mature than ever before and I definitely want to nurture my feminine qualities and for me that's about being I use the word nurture again. Like I nurture my children and I nurture my wife. And, I do a lot of cooking, a lot of cleaning, a lot of laundry. And so does my wife. I think she is also empowering her own masculine. I think the both of us are aware that we both have masculine and feminine. Of course, I've told her about our Mayan charts, which is quite interesting. She, my wife, is my divine masculine guide.
Can we start to share screen so people can understand a
Oh,
little bit more what you're talking?
sure. It's much easier to show. So, yeah, let me share my screen. So, what this is showing is So this is me. I am called Reflecting Eagle, and what I have on my right-hand side is this glyph called Offering, and that is my wife. My wife is called Empowering Offering. Now her tone is 5, and on my right-hand side I have tone 1. So her glyph is here. It's not precisely her Mayan birthday, but the glyph is really what the Maya call the Nahual, which is more like your spirit. And the tone is the tonal, which is more like your ego or your earthly self. So her glyph is here as my right-hand man, I could call it, or my divine masculine guide, which automatically means that I am here on her left-hand side. Because whenever any one person has the divine masculine here, it means that person has me as their divine feminine. So it's interwoven into the Mayan system that we all teach each other divine masculine and divine feminine qualities. So she has to learn from me divine feminine qualities, and I have to learn from her divine masculine qualities. It's quite a mind fuck for most people. But as soon as I found this out, and this was only about 5 years ago that I found this out, it instantly changed and improved our relationship.
Wow.
For me. Because I had been resisting her masculinity. She's a very strong personality. And I had been sort of like, gee, I don't really like that, And then as soon as I found this out, I'm like, oh my God, she's supposed to teach me, to have my balls and get out there and be masculine, right? And I'm supposed to teach her more of this nurturing. And the very instant I learned this Mayan system, it just completely dissolved all my resistance to her masculinity. And I realized, okay, I am supposed to be showing her how to nurture, which is, something I love. And I do, I get off work earlier than her most days, and I will have the food ready. And I take pleasure in that. Whereas more than 5 years ago, I used to sort of resent it, like, why do I have to do it again? And that is completely gone now. So, and this is not the same for everyone, of course. Some people may not have their spouse in those positions. It's a 1 out of 20 chance. And, some people might have their husband as their masculine and the wife as the feminine. So just happened to be the opposite for us. But
yeah.
And then the important thing is also for oneself, like if it's okay with you, I can put your chart up here.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So I've got you here. So for one individual person, it's just good to know your own divine masculine, divine feminine. For you, you have tone 10, which is called manifesting, and this glyph is called Gaia. So your feminine powers, tone 10 represents 2 hands. You can see them like this. So praying is one of the activities. It's also like holding hands, like partnership, but also making deals, like shaking hands and using 2 hands to get things done. And like I said, collaboration or, making deals is a big part of your divine feminine energy. And then combining that with Gaia herself, which really represents all life on Earth, which is male and female, we must admit. We tend to think of Gaia as this feminine entity, but And it is, I believe, we could call her Sophia Gaia, and there definitely is the birthing energy to it, but it's also somewhat masculine, we must admit. Gaia includes volcanoes,
Yeah.
and tornadoes and the oceans and birthing, and there's a lot of masculinity involved in Gaia as well. So it's not purely a feminine energy at all. And then the reason that it's green here is because tone 10 it connects directly to the heart chakra. So that's part of your divine feminine energy manifesting Gaia. Now, if we come over to your masculine side, this for you is tone 11 called resolving and the serpent. And you'll notice this double stacked rollabola here. This is strictly my own interpretation. The Maya do not teach it this way, but I feel that this dot, if we think of it as being underneath, whereas typically they are over, the dots go over the bar. If we think of the dot as under the bar, you've got this sort of balancing necessity. For you to be in your masculine power, you need to be very balanced. So, and then it's combining with the serpent, which I feel is more feminine than masculine. Um, that's partly woven into the Christian myth as well. It's connected to Eve, and I think the
Mm.
chakras come into it. The Maya believed in the chakras, and that's partly why tone 11 here is with the solar plexus chakra. So for you, your divine masculine is more in the solar plexus, you know. And when you think of the energy required to be on this rollabola, it's very self-control, balancing. So for you to really be your most powerful masculine, you and have those chakras and be the sexy serpent, but you should remain very balanced. That's my interpretation. So it's interesting with you because your birth sign is the monkey, and that is a blue glyph, obviously, and blue represents emotions, the emotional body. And your two red glyphs here, this is the physical body. And Gaia, extremely physical. It's the planet and all the life on it, plants and animals. And like I said, I feel that Gaia is not strictly a feminine energy. And then with your masculine, I feel it's a little bit more feminine than masculine. So, I think you have an extremely balanced male and female energy with you. Monkeys, there's, we have many images of monkeys. One of them that I really like is that the female, the mother, is sort of like nurturing many other monkeys. It's not just her own infants. It's like she feels motherly to all baby monkeys. Now, I'm not sure if that's actually true. I think it's true. And then, of course, there's the male images of monkeys. The gorilla pounding the chest. So the monkey is definitely both genders. So you have an extremely well balanced Mayan birthday for gender. And again, the tone 4, your birth tone, is also connected to the heart chakra. These two, tone 4 and tone 10. So you've got a lot of heart energy. And tone 4 is called stabilizing. So it's the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, 4 times of day, and the 4 bodies, which is, the physical body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body, and the thinking body. So extremely well balanced, I would say, for you.
Well, it's what I'm trying to learn.
Sure. Yeah, I'm 55 and I'm just figuring out, this
My
stuff for
goodness.
myself.
Yeah. And can you explain a little bit of the future vision guide and the steps
Yes,
to
yeah.
install?
Let me see if I can put us down here a little bit. I'll put us down here. So everyone who is born on the monkey has this glyph for the past. This is patient dusk. Patient is tone 9. So everyone who's born with tone 4 in this position here also has tone 9 here. And then, of course, everyone who is a stabilizing monkey has these same exact glyphs and tones. So your past, the dusk glyph represents dreams and potential and transitions. The glyph is called dusk, and it represents dusk and through the night and into the dawn. Some Mayan regions call it dawn, some call it night. I call it dusk, some call it bringers of the dawn, because it's all about this transition and the change. And you having tone 9 here, tone 9, called patient, actually represents the 9 months of gestation. So it's a very feminine tone. So this could be like a gestational period for you. Your childhood is generally up to age 13. And then we go through about 13 years here and 13 years. So another 26 years, up until we're about 39, we're really balancing the male and female. And then from 39 to age 52, this becomes more important for you, your future vision guide, which in your case is called Understanding Rainstorm. Now, tone 12 is understanding. And one of the images I have for it is the cube, a crystal cube, but not a solid crystal. It's like 12 beams of quartz crystal that all connect. And so the interconnection, being tone 12 called understanding, you can be in any one corner and still be connected to all other positions, or you can be right in the middle of one of the beams and still have all the information accessible. Now, the rainstorm actually is a very feminine glyph to the Maya. So what it would represent for you is more so after the age of 52, really coming into this more of a divine feminine understanding to your future. And to the Maya, that glyph, you can see it. It's a little bit upside down here, but it's a storm with the eye of the storm in the center. There is lightning, there is rain, and there's this flow of water down to like a little pond or a lake there that's going up. So it represents the constant flow of water from the earth going back up into the sky and coming down. So again, emotions are very important. And to the Maya, this glyph represents all of the feminine roles in society. So mother, sister, nurse, the doula, also the death doula. Traditionally, if people go to, what's the word I'm looking for? A hospice. Hospice care workers are almost always women, to help people transition out of the body it's a very feminine role traditionally, and it's caretaking. It's the most important caretaking, I believe, other than the infant being born and being taken care of by its mother, of course. And then when we leave the body, if we are taken care of by a nurturing woman, what a wonderful way to finally leave this body. So, I would say that even though overall your chart is very balanced between masculine and feminine, I think your future is much more of the divine feminine powers. How does that make you feel? What do you think about that?
Well, I think there are many points that very connected with the Western astrology, and I tend to not, when I do my reading with my client, I tend not to just do the Western astrology.
Right.
I use also some one system is called the Sabian symbols.
Okay.
And with its images, like I can connect it so well with your interpretation. And for instance, my sun is in Libra, 25 degrees something. And so I go down to 26 degrees. So
Okay.
my sun in the Sabian symbol is represented by an image
All
that
right.
an eagle and a dove merge together.
Oh, lovely.
So that would be like the eagle is very masculine and
It
the
is
dove is very feminine.
very feminine.
And my soul, my purpose is to merge that together.
Right.
And
Wow. Similar.
isn't it so fantastic?
That's synchronistic. Definitely.
And if I have to look at I Ching,
Right.
my my life work
Yes.
is represented by the 32nd keys hexagram.
Okay. Right.
If I look at the Chinese traditional rating, it represents by, the Chinese traditional rating is by many parts from together, right? The left-hand side is the main part. That is represented by a heart.
Oh,
And the right-hand side is represented by two sides of the river.
okay.
How do we join to go from one side to the others? And there is a boat. And
Right.
inside that boat, we have 3 people.
Oh.
And symbolically, that 2 sides, we can also say like the past and the future.
Right.
And because I'm doing it only by, I read some books, but most of the modern interpretation of I Ching, I just don't like it.
Oh, okay.
And I prefer to go back to the very original. I just look at the writing of the word
Right.
and download whatever it comes to me.
Sure.
The traditional writing, there is so much just in one word. And if a person that stay long enough to meditate on the true meaning of that word, just one word, it brings out so much. And
Right.
so it's almost like whatever that I am doing is that middle part of joining what the past, the baggages, the knowledge that we have bring with us, right?
Right. Yeah.
How do we go to the future and be that boat? And be that boat
Right.
that carry people? And
Sure.
most interestingly is the hard part, because the hard part is the main essence, the essence of the word. You can't do
Okay.
that without the heart.
Right.
And it's so interesting to see one school of study to
Yes.
connect with the next, to the next, to the next is mind-blowing.
It is, and I believe that we should know all of our astrology systems, you know, like on the Chinese, I am a wood monkey, right?
Hmm.
In traditional zodiac, I am a Capricorn, and I could tell you a few other things. My moon is Aries, which is my wife. My wife is an Aries, and that's my moon. So I'm like, cool. Um, it's also kind of fun that our children, my wife is Aries, my son is Cancer, my daughter is Libra, and I am Capricorn. So we are the four cardinal signs, which is kind of fun.
I can imagine everyone say what they want.
We all have our own, yeah, we're each holding our own position in yeah, yeah. We're all unique individuals.
Well, yeah, yeah, that is so interesting.
So
And
that's one of the beautiful things about modern life and technology and the internet is we can all learn all of our systems, but I think we need to know them all.
well, that's why we connect with people. Like
That's it,
instead of
exactly.
saying that we have to learn them all, which is totally impossible in our lifetime,
Right, right, right,
we
right,
complement. Like I don't reject your Mayan. I
right, right,
appreciate your your
right,
Mayan's understanding and wisdom. And that's how we
right.
learn from each other. It's the complementation. And this brings us
Yes,
back exactly where we started. Why we have to divide and why we have to kill off what the other peoples are doing different from us.
right, 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 right. Well, yeah, no, we are in an age of synthesis now. We're in an age of integration and harmony, you know. We've been all raised with this war mentality for so long. And we've heard this little faint voice saying, peace, peace. And you know, it's there and we're aware of it, but we're not quite sure how to make it happen in today's world where there's constant bombardment of, you know, war on all of the media, for example. So it's very challenging to be peaceful in this day and age.
Yes, yes.
But we're doing it. We're doing it. We're teaching it. We're being it.
Okay, I think we can wrap up now, but I would like you to give a sort of synthesis
Okay.
of being a person that is living in a culture that's not yours. So you are learning the other culture from your birth
Yes.
by
Right.
combining the cultures, by combining the differences in appreciating like as you say before, the the masculine energy from your wife and bringing out the feminine energies from you. And
Right.
that is this pot inside.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's been very interesting living in Japan for over 20 years now. Japan, I have to be honest with you, is very sexist society. Women here are very second-class citizens, and They are not represented in business or politics at all. They do not own businesses. They're not, you know, powerful people in society, except for this cute image, the young girl singing and wearing short skirts image is everywhere in Japan, and that's all that they want shown. So I have a daughter, she's 18, and I'm trying to raise her up with power of, individuality, and I've told her her Mayan astrology, and I've told her that we all have male and female powers, and she understands that at a basic level. Um, so living in Japan is quite um, eye-opening in many ways. And if I didn't really know about the Mayan system, where everyone has male and female energies, I would probably really dislike living here. But the fact that I know about that, and I teach it too, really helps you know, helps me connect. For example, I teach English at university. I teach every student their Mayan birthday. I teach them all that we all have male and female qualities. So every year I get about 200 new students, and I teach them all their Mayan birthdays. So that's one of the joys of my job. And I think you and I have connected on some other levels, like the Sophia Code. We've talked about that
Yeah.
book and that
Mm.
teaching. And I've done that whole, that 8 activations, and connected very strongly with my divine feminine. I've read, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Um, I have a statue of Kuan Yin that's been on my altar for since I got married. My wife and I bought it when we got married 20 years ago. So the divine feminine is very much a part of my life, and I really wish it were for more men, of course, but also for more women. It's starting to come back into awareness, and I think more and more people are recognizing the importance of it. And what we need is, instead of going way over into the feminine only, we need to stop the pendulum right in the middle and say we are all both.
Yes.
And that's part of my message. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, like when we are trying to bring back this feminine energy, the woman statues,
Yes.
we shouldn't fall into the old trap of fighting for it.
Right. Exactly.
When I am a woman and I'm proud of who I am, I
Yes.
don't need to fight you.
Right.
Even you don't disagree with me. It's not my problems because I'm
Right.
so sure of who I am. It's freedom.
Right.
You don't
Exactly.
take away my freedom.
Sovereignty.
Yeah. And to the male, to the man is, it's okay to be
Sure.
vulnerable.
Right. Yeah, and we're learning that,
Yeah.
getting in touch with our feminine side, and vulnerability is a big part of that. So, to embrace that as a man, like, you know what? I cry a lot. And I love that about me,
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
sometimes watching a movie, or even when I'm doing a reading for a client, like sometimes I just cry. But that's also because I'm a blue glyph that feeds into my intuition and my emotions. So It's natural for me.
Yeah. And I actually really think somehow for men it's even harder than women, that to come out from the man logic, from
Certainly.
their mind,
Yeah, definitely.
bring it out down here. Like, if you want to do something, if your heart telling you to do it,
Right.
fucking do it.
Yeah.
Don't think. What's
Yeah.
the consequences? I mean, at the
Yeah.
end, what can be worse? And to follow this heart here is so important for every one of us. And
Definitely.
I thank you so much
Oh,
for your valuable wisdom and knowledge, and as I think as an example and as a way shower
mm,
as to how to be unique,
right.
of how not to care actually.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been a pleasure with you here today, and I'm very much looking forward to continuing our
Yes,
conversations in the
yes,
future.
yep. Okay. Thank you everyone for following us, and from my heart to yours, Akata Wester and Creepy Matters. Thank you.
Een Lak'esh, Alakin. That's the Mayan saying for I am another you, you are another me. Namaste.
Namaste.